Hello everyone. In this lesson, I propose to add logging to the tRPC backend. Right now, when users are doing something on the front end, for example, liking something or navigating to a page, requests are being sent to the backend throughout. But we don't see this in the backend logs, which is inconvenient for development. During development, it's handy to log everything possible. Therefore, we need to add logging to tRPC. How do we do that? For this, in tRPC, there is middleware. Middleware is something that occurs before the main procedure is called, and you can write all sorts of logic there. Specifically, you can write logging logic there. Let's do this. So, let's set up a procedure that we'll call the tRPC logged procedure. So, here we have tRPC itself. Here we have a logged procedure. How is it done? We also take tRPC procedure, use, and let's compare it with some kind of set-like ID. Here, the procedure starts with input and mutation. This is how we roughly set the final part of our procedure, but you can also set an intermediate one. This is what use is for. In use, you need to pass tRPC middleware in this case, and in middleware, pass our function that will receive the path. This is the path to our procedure called at this moment in time. So actually, we are calling this procedure, but before it, this one will also be called. Therefore, we know the path. Path is the path of this procedure. Then we have a type, e.g., query, mutation. Next is a function that needs to be called in order for our procedure to continue. Specifically, when we call next, the code reaches here and goes there. Also context. But this is our context, tRPC context. And raw input is the input passed to our procedure. What are we doing? We are timing how long this procedure took to complete. That's why we say, start, its date now. Then, in result, we call await next. So our result will be what was returned from this procedure. This is literally it, and we got the result. At this point, the procedure has been executed. Its result is stored in the result variable. Since it took some time, we can now calculate how many milliseconds passed. Here, duration.s is now minus the start date. We got the duration in milliseconds. Then we form our metadata. We simply write here the path as it is, type as it is. Interesting to know which user did this, if there was one. Therefore, we pass here either the user or else or null, how much time it took, and if there was input, then output, this input. Okay? And then what can be in the result? Well, this is middleware result. If it executed successfully, then here it will be result, .c. This is Boolean. And if it's true, then it means no errors occurred during this procedure execution. And then we write logger.info, tRPC, for instance, query or mutation, success. These colons are also convenient for us. In the future, we can use them to comfortably filter by our tags. So, for example, maybe in the future we will want our GET requests, these queries, not to be logged during development because there will be so many. Or we might want to include them. But more on that later. We will deal with this later. The main thing is that we are laying this option for ourselves in advance. Successful request is our message, and we put our metadata in meta, and also write result data in the output, right? And later, if it wasn't okay and there was some error, we can also display it. tRPC, query, or mutation, and error. Here we pass result error as the error. This will store the error. And our metadata, here, we don't add result data to the metadata as it already has result data, because an error occurred. That's it. Then we return the result, and it finally reaches our user on the client. Great. We've added this procedure, logger procedure. Now we just import the logger, and let's apply it in our place. For this, simply replace our tRPC procedure with the tRPC logger procedure, and import it specifically. Good. Saved. It complains about something. Oh, we didn't export it. Hold on a moment. Here it is literally. Maybe we need to restart the backend. Yes. Okay. Now let's try liking something. Liked. Looking at the console, info tRPC, mutation, success. Successful request. Path. Set idea like type mutation, user ID, 17 milliseconds. Raw input, idea input, is liked by me. If I click again, it will be, accordingly, false. Now it's is liked by me, false. And output. What was returned there? Absolutely everything about this request. Now we can seemingly control all of it. Great. Well, it'll be the same with an error. In principle, we can break this function and see how it turns out. Throw a new error. Oops. It probably won't build right now, right? Well, you can play around with it. This will essentially always be true, just kind of to avoid complaints. Okay, good. And now we try to like. We get an error. And here we see this result. Here's our error text. Oops. The error itself is original. Error stack. Path. Mutation. Execution time. User ID. So everything became very clear. Good. So let's remove our forced error now. And what's important now? Now it's important to go into all index.ts files of our root and add this procedure instead of tr.pc. In general, I would ensure that tr.pc is not exported from here so that no one thinks of using it like this. So let's forbid importing tr.pc. At the same time, check that we've replaced it everywhere. But there is one place where we still need it. It's right here to declare the router. But here we can do the following. Let's just export the router itself. So, tr.pc. Here we'll do export const tr.pc.router. There. And here we will call it accordingly. Create tr.pc.router. So tr.pc is no longer needed here. So now a little routine. Let's go insert tr.pc.logot.procedure everywhere. Let's start from the top down. tr.pc.logot.procedure. Well, this will be quite fast. tRPC, tRPC, tRPC. Be patient. Be patient. Never be afraid of changes that supposedly will affect all your code, and you'll have to redo everything. In practice, even if your project was gigantic, well, it takes minutes. Worst case, an hour. So it's okay. Refactor your code and redo everything. That's good. It's better for the code to be good than to save yourself a half hour somewhere. Well, now we'll do all of this in just a minute. Here we have already done it. So, let's check if everything worked out. npm vtypes. So the types work and the backend is running. Well, now we will even send GET requests. Here you go, we called getIDs. Here's what we got back. Everything is readable. The only thing is, don't get confused. In this format, when you see something in quotes, it actually means it's not a string. And when you see, on the contrary, a string in quotes, like the serial number, here it is a number. Yes, no, everything is fine here. Good. So, well, we did our logging and can move on. Thank you all. See you soon. Subtitles, Dima Torzak.